Hey everybody, welcome to Ray K Customs. Behind me is my 76 Chevy Camaro that I've had most of my life. I'm winding down on this project. For me, it's pretty much complete. But today we're going to solve the important dilemma of what I'm going to do for a hood for this car.
My dad brought this car home in 1979. All three of my older sisters had this car before I got it in the early 90s, and needless to say, it was pretty clapped out. It's gone through many incarnations with me. This latest build was kind of a disaster. It came back to me in pieces after a body man had it, and I kind of had to finish out the body work and do the best I could myself. It's got the typical Rust-Oleum YouTube paint job with a Harbor Freight spray gun and Rust-Oleum gray. That's not primer, it's smoke gray, wet sanded down flat because I threw down so much orange peel in there it wasn't even funny. So what I've done is I've left out the inner fender wells in the car because I just like that look. And so we have a dilemma with the hood. The steel hood is probably not going to be the greatest option with the hinges because there's going to be flex and stress put on the fenders. So I kind of was wanting a lift-off hood. Now here we see the original hood that the body man tried to mold in with regular Bondo, which is a huge no-no, and I told him to leave it alone. It was just pop riveted on there, and that's a scoop that I bought back in J.C. Whitney back in the day. It's like a plastic scoop, and it just should have never been molded on, and he did, and it cracked before I even got a chance to use it. So this was, me doing some experimental repairs on those cracks, and it's just no good. It's a mess. And so I've been wanting a fiberglass hood, and the question was whether or not to do a bolt-on or do a lift-off. And I've, like I said, without the inner fender wells, I've kind of been leaning towards the lift-off notion. The other thing is expense. These hoods online are extremely expensive. Steel, fiberglass, whatever you get, you're not getting away with anything under $400 or $500. And so that was kind of making me sick to my stomach too. So lo and behold, we're still looking at the old hood here, but we'll be getting to what my find was here shortly. I ended up finding a bolt-on fiberglass hood on Craigslist. It had been sitting up there quite a while with no interest in it. And so I purchased it for $100. Looking online, this hood is still available from some vendors. It's just not a very popular style anymore. And but for $100, I figured I couldn't go wrong. So here we are looking at what I purchased on Craigslist for $100. Again, this was a bolt-on fiberglass hood. Already had the front hood pins in it, and it had some rotten louvers that were sitting in the middle, which quickly fell apart upon handling the hood. It's not a style of hood that I would have gone for. I didn't really like it, so I sort of avoided it when I first saw it. But at the same time, I really didn't want the typical cowl induction style that everybody else had. I was really looking for something unique, hoping to find something that somebody had already built, maybe with some sort of scoop on it that was unique or just different. And I said, you know what, for $100, I'll go ahead and give this thing a shot and see what I can do with it. So we did get the hood on my car, and I took the springs off the factory hinges, thinking that would make it, lighter and easier to deal with. But it turns out that the springs on your hinges also help with opening and closing the hood, particularly opening the hood. And so without the springs on there, it's really a disaster. Getting the hood open, putting a prop rod in, I got it bolted on and lined up where it opened and shut okay, but I just hated the whole prop rod thing and the sheer heaviness of dealing with it on the hinges. So that's where I got the idea to do the bolt-on situation with it. So I got it on the car, all lined up, the hood pins in the front. I had to kind of drill out the factory holes a little bit more because obviously this hood sat a little bit different on its previous car than it would on mine. So I had to slot those holes a little bit, got those adjusted, and everything lined up. And I just went ahead and cut that hole in the middle. I know it's, most people are going to say it looks awful, but here's the thing. That hole right there is the whole reason that I can manage this hood on and off my car by myself. I don't need two people to do the liftoff situation on this hood because I can put my hand into that center hole. I remove the breather first, obviously, put my hand in that center hole, and I can pull it straight off the car. Okay, here it is on the car all set up, and I've put the front pins in. The back bolts that you'll see in a few seconds here are bolted in to the factory hood bumper holes. That's a threaded hole that's on there from the factory, and I bolted it straight down with a 7/16 thread bolt with an Allen head on, some stainless steel bolts. Utilized the discs from another hood pin kit. There's the hole right there, which the engine doesn't even sit completely straight in the middle of the hood. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that center section. May fill it in, but I'm pretty sure it's going to crack if I try to do that. So I'm not sure. I'm kind of up in the air what I'd do on that for right now. The hood will probably obviously get a paint job at some point. I'm not really a flame guy, but as wonky as it looks right there and kind of junky, I'm kind of digging it. So there's the bolts that go through the disc for another hood pin kit. That was basically very easy to install. Those bolts straight down into where the bumper bolt locations are, the factory bumper bolts. And this hood is on there very secure. And because it's a bolt-on and it has more weight than a typical pin-on hood would. I believe the pin-on hoods have no second part to them up underneath. They're just simply one fiberglass piece, so they're a lot lighter. But even then, I don't think I'd be able to lift a pin-on on and off the car by myself unless I had something to grab onto like I do right here. You'll see me just pop it straight off, and I'm ready to go. I really wanted to do this style because of the access that I get to the engine every time I'm going to do some work. I've got it wide open. I can do whatever I need to do quickly, efficiently, and it just works better than me. And you don't have the big ugly hood hinges on anymore or any of that jive to mess with. There's the factory holes that the bolts thread into in the back. So there wasn't any need to enlarge those or do anything for that. And the front pins, like I said, the bolt holes had to be slotted a bit so that they fit correctly into the existing holes on the hood. So I hope this video has helped anybody make a decision on what they want to do in this same type of dilemma, because I couldn't find any videos that are really that gave me any good information about pin-on hoods or bolt-on fiberglass hoods on YouTube that kind of broke it all down like this and gave you pros and cons and resolutions for a one-man lift-off hood. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.